Everyone knows, and the world know that the economic costs and consequences of the coronavirus pandemic are going to be huge and will last long for a very long time. Quoting from one of Singapore's minister, when a business destroys, people's life ruined. And in such situations, people mainly don't talk about investment, but instead, people better talk about social justice, health improvement, and equity. However, government seems like to keep its appetite to keep on the track. Therefore, in the first graphic, I will show you the government's game plan on 2020 setting on investment realization. Firstly, through the graphic, we can see the game plan that was invented by the government that said the initial target of the investment realizations was in the 886.1 trillion rupiah. But regarding the current situations about the COVID-19 that really hit our economic situations, there are other pessimistic simulations and very pessimistic simulations. Start from the pessimistic simulations. Government set up 885 trillion rupiah, and while the other hand, there is a very pessimistic simulations by 817 trillion rupiah. And the target is 9.4% higher than the recorded investment realizations of 809.6 trillion rupiah last year. And the number is even higher than the target of 792 trillion rupiah set in 2019. In the beginning of the year, government was very optimistic to achieve the target. And of course, a number of improvements have been made, such as the investment climate and increased synergy between ministries and institutions continue to be strengthened. And these things make government really sure to achieve the target. And even in the midst of coronavirus pandemic, the government does not want to revise the year's investment target. Just yesterday, Indonesia's Investment Coordinating Board, or so-called as BKPM, just recorded investment in the first quarter of 2020. It was a really good result. It went 8% year on year. Let's see the 2020 investment realizations target through the next graphic. So here it is. We can see that actually, initially, government has set up 886 trillion rupiah for investment realizations target in 2020. Well, this is the situations of the first quarter of 2020. We have achieved 210.7 trillion rupiah, or it means that we have achieved 23.8% of the total target of investment realizations of 2020 full year target. And although COVID-19 pandemic was indeed difficult start off kick of the year, but the investment considered to be quite good, because until now value achievement has reached 23% of the target of 886 trillion rupiah. And even so, until now, BKPM has not revised investment target of 886 trillion in the middle of the corona pandemic. If this pandemic cannot be resolved in the coming May, the board had prepared several game plans to revise the investment targets I mentioned before. But one thing to underline, changing game plan doesn't mean changing the target. There are officials that clearly stated that Indonesia will not change the target. So who are those? Let's see the data. Through the next graphic, we can see two officials that against to revise the target of investment realizations. First, Bali Lahadalia as the head of BKPM. He said, until now, we have not downgraded or have not revised the target. And in the other hand, there is Luhut bin Sarpanjaitan as the coordinating minister for maritime affairs and investment. He said clearly, because there are also no investors who say that they have withdrawn from Indonesia. And these two people are very influential in regards of our Indonesia economy. And the coordinating minister for maritime and investment, Luhut bin Sarpanjaitan, said that the pandemic made investment a little stalled, but it does not mean that the investors cancel the intention to invest, but only postponed until the pandemic ends. On the upside, the agency has said to report any pullouts from the governments. Instead, some investors are only delaying their projects, such as Jakarta-Bandung high-speed railway project, a joint venture between Indonesian and Chinese railway companies. Another thing is what makes government won't change the investment realizations target is due to good investment performance in Indonesia in the first quarter. Let's compare it with the last year number through the next graphic. So here it is. We can't compare the first quarter investment realizations from the last year, which is 2019, and current 2020. As we can see, the number, it went significantly high. In 2020, we have reached 210.7 trillion rupiah, while in 2019, in the same period, we just reached 195.1 trillion rupiah. And the total investment mostly channeled to projects in the transportations, warehouse, telecommunications, metal, and energy sectors. It created 303,085 jobs between January and March. Even it marked 8% decline from the number of jobs created in the last month of 2019. But these investments are really helping Indonesians for being employed in the midst of layoff season. The investment realizations was divided into foreign direct investment and also domestic direct investment. Let's see the proportions through the next graphic, shall we? Through the next graphic, we can see the proportions between the DDI and FDI. DDI stands for domestic direct investment, while FDI stands for foreign direct investment. As we can see through the data, the largest portions go to the DDI, direct investment of domestic. Through the data, we can see the FDI is not really showing the good performance because of this coronavirus pandemic makes all countries suffer for economic losses. While it turns out it went down 9.2% from the last year. While in the other hand, we can see the DDI, which is domestic direct investment, it reached 53% of it. And it marked a really good value of it. And in fact, foreign investment realizations began to fall during January to March period. Indonesia's foreign direct investment, which accounted for 46.5% of the total investment, fell by 7% to 98 trillion in the January to March period from the fourth quarter of 2019. Singapore, which recently saw a worsening trend of its number of COVID-19 cases, was Indonesia's top source for investment with 2.7 million US dollar, contributing 40% the total to FDI. It was followed by China, which was starting to reopen its economy with 1.3 million dollar. And contributing 18.9% of the total FDI. And we hope nothing but the best for Indonesia for maintaining its investment realizations on the right track. And stay tuned on market headlines because we will be right back after the break.